You know the term off the run? Do you know where that comes from?
I mean, I've heard of it, obviously, but I don't know where it comes
Yeah,
from.
so when a piece of equipment is
Yeah.
broken, you take it off the run. Yeah? Well, the run used to be a physical thing because
Is that where
all
they
of
used to
the,
drag the cart to the place?
yeah, the
Is it
pump
something
used
to
to be
do?
sat on an elevation
Yeah, and then go
so
down.
that when Daisy needs to start kicking off, we give her a bit of a hand because we
Mm.
just release the brake and it'd run off the run. Yeah. But if there was a problem with it and you needed to swap it for another engine, you would take it off the run and then you'd put the new one on the
It's
run.
cool, isn't it? There's loads of like little sayings that are just
Mate, I
embedded in
could bore you
history.
to
Like
death all
lots of
day with this.
sailing ones as well, isn't there? Like the cat nine
Loads of
tails,
sailing ones. Tow rag. Do
awesome.
you know
Yeah,
where that comes from?
sailing somewhere, I should imagine. Like
So if
there's
you needed
loads,
a
isn't there?
poo,
Yeah.
you would go to the back of the boat and poo off the back of the boat.
All right.
Yeah. But you didn't want to wipe your bottom. So they would have a long line, and on the end of the line would be a rag, and it would be constantly be getting washed in the wash. Yeah, in the wash of the ship. You would pull it in, you'd wipe your bum, you'd throw it back out, and that was the tow rag. Talking back to slavery days, you know when they say you can't swing a cat in here? This is tiny, you can't
Yeah,
swing a
yeah,
cat in
yeah,
here.
yeah.
It's a
That's
cat
the
and
whip, isn't it? The cat and
it's a
nine
cat
tails.
and nine tails. If someone wasn't rowing enough down below, you'd whip them, but you couldn't whip them down there because it was too small to swing the cat. So you'd
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
take it
Up
up
on deck.
onto the
Yeah,
deck
yeah,
to
yeah.
whip them.
So weird, isn't it? There's so many.
There's so many. I could bore. You know when you say stepping over the threshold? You heard that one?
But yeah, that's the. Didn't they used to put like they called it the fresh, wouldn't it? It was straw at the opening of the door.
Straw or thresh. Yeah. If you had nice carpet, you'd only have carpet in one room of the house, in the
Yeah,
fancy
yeah.
room, but everyone would walk in with their muddy boots. So in the first room, you'd have loads of thresh, you'd have loads of straw, so it gets sucks all the mud up. But you didn't just want it falling out the front door every time you open the
Hmm.
front door. So you'd put a small piece of wood at the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah.
of the front door,
And
and
that
that
was to
was the
hold the fresh. Yeah.
threshold. And you'd have to step over it. So when you get married and you step over the threshold with your new missus,
Mm.
that's what you're doing. Mate, I could bore you to death with them. Anyway, when did we first get to know each other? You've not been on the podcast yet, have you?
I haven't. No, it's the first time.
Loser. You're
I
like
don't
one of
know.
my
It's a
best
couple of
mates.
years
You've never
ago,
been
wasn't
on
it?
it.
A couple of years ago, I think.
How did we interact? Was it Instagram? Was it
Mm.
what did we talk?
Trying to think. I don't know. Like, my memory is terrible. I'm absolutely like things come in my head and go straight back out the other side. I'm terrible for this. I think it was just over email. I think I came to you with this idea. It was a sort of a rough concept of what Drillbook is today. Had so previous to building Drillbook, the reason it came about was because our service moved away from the radio messages that they had at the time to then go
Yep.
towards methane.
Yep.
And there was lots of isms that they put in. It's not just straightforward methane. Like they've got all these different things under each category that you had to try and remember and everything else. And when they moved away from
Yeah.
it, it was just a bit overcomplicated methane, right? So what I did is I actually just built an app that would guide you through all the isms that you had to
Yeah.
put in on a radio message for the simplistic methane. So I built this app that every time you had to a radio message, you could just use it and build out your structured message, and at the end of it, it'd give you a readout of what it was. And it started off as that, and then I started putting things like quick reference guides in there, things like what free words locations for boat launches and stuff like that.
Uh,
It was just a personal tool, one that I had that I'd built for myself just to make my life a little bit easier. And then I think I came to you at that point, basically saying, "Look, I've got this idea. How about if we put drills in it? If we put training ideas in it?" Because I think what I was saying at the time, and I don't want to disrespect anyone or anything, because I know, because
that's my job.
I'm on call, and I know the on call have a day job. They're working 45 hours a week, and then on a Monday night, we'd have to come in and do our drill. And being in the position I'm in now, I realise actually how much effort there is to organise a drill for a Monday night.
Mm.
But I think at the time what I was seeing is I was coming in, and you'd almost be like, "Well, what are we doing tonight then?" And there was no real thought behind it, and it was
Let's just
just
throw some ladders up and we'll put a
yeah,
dam together and we'll
yeah,
pump from the dam and then we'll do
exactly,
some knots and irons to haul aloft.
yeah. So what I wanted to do is sort of come up with a tool that would make their lives easier. So you could just the idea behind it was, okay, how many guys have we got on tonight? Well, we've got 8 people. Right, 8 people. Put it into the app. I've got 8 people. How much setup time have I got? I've got about 20 minutes to get something done. Using those criteria, right, what can we look at? Is it pumping? Is it ladders? Is it, confined spaces? Is it whatever it is? It would come up with some ideas. You could select one and be like, that's a brilliant idea. Right, and it'd give you the brief of, what you got to tell your crew, what equipment you need, what the learning outcomes are, the risks of it, and so on. It was just a package, so they could just select something and be like, there you go, let's run with that. So that was the idea.
Because even your most proactive people, like just to give the public an insight into the on-call, you might have Sarah, who's a manager at the local Tesco's,
Yeah,
and she's had a really busy day doing
yeah.
Tesco's work and sorting all the shifts out, sorting all the people out, and someone rang in sick and someone's late, and she had to pick little Johnny up from nursery afterwards, and then she's like, I've got drill tonight. Oh my God, I don't think Pete or Adam are in, so it's just going to be me. I'm the only officer there. She's a crew manager wherever. She's like, Jesus Christ. So she's trying to make tea for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I can't think what to do. Is James going to be there tonight? Because James is on development. Oh God, what does he need to work on? BA, right? What do we need to do? How many people are we going to have? I don't know. I'll have a quick look on Firewatch or Fire Service Rota. How many people we've got? And you can easily sit there 40 minutes going, or worst case scenario, which does happen because you've just been so busy, you just rock up and literally on parade in the back of your mind, you're going, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? They've all been milling about. They've all had a coffee. And I've just said, right, whilst we're getting set up, everyone just check the truck over and make sure you're familiar. Do some locker drills. And you're still thinking, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I got 3 hours to fill here. What are we going to do?
Yeah, should we go to the local park and do some pumping? Should we go into town? I don't know if we can go. I don't know if we can take the truck off the station. Oh, is he a driver? Do you know what I mean? And then you're like, yeah, you don't get the best.
It's a lot of mental load for the people, like the officers, to come up with something every week, in and amongst having to do their day job as well. So that's why
they're just trying to focus on availability. I'm just trying to get everyone to book on. Can you just be available, please? Never mind if you're competent or not. There's, we'll worry about that later. If we just throw enough people at it, I'm sure we'll get the job done in some way or another. No, and I absolutely loved it. When you approached me with the idea, but I want to cycle back for a second because when you say, this is a talk, most people have had, we're not unique in this. Thousands of people have that very same thought, and they will have just made their own list. They'll have a little Excel sheet. They've got a load of ideas, places they've been, or they've got their favourite notepad that they keep in their locker, and it's got a bunch of good ideas. And I was saying, we were having a conversation. It's like when that person retires, it's gone.
Gone.
All that is gone, and we are hemorrhaging people from the fire and rescue service in the UK at the minute. All of that experience, all of that knowledge. So and so's done 30 years. Adam's done 40 years. These people are gone now, and no one can remember. I used to do this drill with Sam, and he used to do this thing. I can't remember how he did it actually, but it was really good. Well, that's useless. No one can remember what did he even do.
So in a way, you're right. It is a way to sort of capture those really good drills that some of the older hands have come up with, or has been passed down to them, and put it into a single place where people can access it.
Yeah. Talk to me about building apps.
What do you want to know?
So I've had people approach us before about building apps, and they're like, "Oh, you need like 80 grand, to put into app development." And I'm like,
absolute nonsense.
Well, that's a straight non-starter, then, isn't it? That can't be true. There's fucking thousands of apps out there.
So it is in a way. So apps can be very, very expensive, especially when you've got whole development teams. But what they tend to do now is outsource it to places like India. So you got whole teams. So you'll have companies in the UK that will then outsource to a team out in India. So they'll be paying a team in India to develop. And I'm not taking away from India at all. They've got some very, very good developers, and a lot of companies are moving towards.
They're not going there because they're rubbish. They're going there because
exactly. It's cheap, but they got the skills, and so they outsource it to India. They go through the whole. So the way I did it through no code or low code. So it's a very visual.
How do you know this stuff without giving away your employer? Tell people what you do.
So I'm a project manager. I sit in front of a computer all day, every day, and I roll out production lines for a massive industrial company. Do I give them away? I probably could.
No, don't give them away. So they have the company that has lots and lots of products that needs to have very efficient ways of managing this stock and distributing it.
Yeah, they're global. They're absolutely huge. They even I mean, they do anything from like road markings to even the stickers and the livery that goes on the side of the trucks. So they produce all that. So there's all over the world, and my role was to roll out production lines and put production lines onto networks so they could get towards this higher level of automation and all sorts. So that's my day job, but I'm sat in front of a computer all day.
How do you get into a job like that? What do you know? Very few kids. Although this is a good. This is a good thing to talk about because
Mm.
a lot of people on call whole time. But people just growing up like, what I want to be when I'm older. When we were kids, well, this is the thing though. Because how old are you? You're older than me, aren't you?
I'm
You're younger
30.
than
Oh,
me.
I'm 39 on Monday. There you go. Tomorrow.
39. Congratulations. I don't know why you didn't make an effort. You
Yeah,
just
just
stayed
rocked
alive for
up.
a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Congratulations on surviving. Yeah.
When we were kids,
Mm.
no one was talking about web development. Well, they weren't talking to me about it. It was like, do you want to be a builder? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a plumber? Do you want to work in a factory?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
want to work? Do you want to work on the roadworks? Do you want to
So for
work on the
me,
rail line?
when I was younger, and it sounds very, it's going to be as another guy. I did actually want to be a firefighter when I was younger, and I remember
You'll
going
get there
through.
one day.
Yeah,
You keep going, sausage.
you'll get it. I remember, like the school's careers office, like the two options that they would always give me is be a firefighter or be armed police. And armed police would be a cool job.
I still think about it. I think about the police and I think about the military.
Yeah, yeah. That would be a cool job. But I left school, just went into a sort of a nothing job really. I ended up being a roofer for a while. I was doing that. And then with the
Has
downturn
its ups and
in,
downs, doesn't it?
yep. um, it's nice in the summer. It's crap in the
Yeah.
winter.
I've done lots of lifting slate onto roofs for my dad.
Mm. It's heavy stuff and it's
Sucks.
surprising, isn't it?
It's really hard work.
Mm.
Yeah, really hard work.
But it's good. I got
That's why
really
I
super
knew I didn't
fit
want to
doing
go
it.
into the industry with him.
Mm.
It's like, it
The,
sucks.
the problem is, like, I remember when I was doing it, um, all the guys that I work with were sort of, 40, 45, 50, and their bodies went absolutely, they're in pieces.
Physically fucked.
Their knees were like screwed, their backs were screwed. Like, it's just from constantly, working on the roof, bending over, lifting the
Yeah.
heavy stuff. Like,
Crouching down in a terrible
jeez, their
position.
knees were absolutely
Yeah.
shot. Like, it was just so longevity. I was like, this isn't for me. I don't want to end up like that, basically. And
Yeah, but you haven't really got, because most people, you're not, again, you won't be, maybe you will be a little bit unique in thinking that, because I know a
mm,
lot of labourers, a lot of labourers that go to the gym with me, and it
mm,
is such hard graft.
mm, mm,
But some of them are not very intelligent. Not all of them,
mm,
but some of them aren't very intelligent, and they've just kind of accepted that. But some of them are really smart,
yeah.
and they're still doing it. And I'm like,
I,
do you think you could do this until you're in your mid-50s? B, do you want to? Because I couldn't train the amount that I train. I couldn't focus on. I couldn't have all the fun and interesting conversations and all the stuff that I do. I'm not wealthy at all, but I live a very privileged life in certain ways. But I also feel like I've designed my life now. I think I could retire now in the typical sense of retiring, and I would have more than enough stuff to be cracking on with.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas if I was up in the morning, like my dad, I used to sit and have breakfast with him at 6 a.m.
Yep. I remember those
And then he'd
days.
be out the door and he wouldn't be back till 6 or 7 at night, and then he'd be doing a couple of hours on the desk because he ran a team of builders. Yeah, he worked 6 7 days a week, and
It's
then
hard
on the
graft.
Saturday or Sunday that he didn't work, he was playing field hockey or golfing. And I was like, he couldn't. He didn't have a hobby back. I mean, the hobby was the one day a week he did hockey or something like that. But like now, I don't know, I'm dragging us off on a segue, sorry, but and I think this is a fire and rescue service thing, I think it's an on-call issue. We like to have lots of stuff going on in our lives. Do you want to give it 84 hours a week on call? No.
Mm.
But when am I going to go and, well, my missus wants to go to London on Friday, and then I go and see my friend in Sheffield on Tuesdays, and then I also play snooker wherever, Cardiff, and I can pop on the train and I'm in London in an hour. So, and I think the world is it's the new normal, isn't it? Like, it's changed so much, so much. I don't know if it's all bad or all good or whatever. Sorry for dragging us off on that rabbit hole, but like labourers, hard ass graft. So you thought, I can't see myself doing this for the next 40 years.
Yeah,
But
but at
then
the
it's the so
same
what? Like, what
time,
are you going to do?
yeah, so at the same time, it was the recession. The recession was just kicking in. So the company that I was working for was starting to make kickbacks and people were losing their jobs. The building industry slowed down, didn't it? Uh,
Hmm.
and at the same time, someone offered me a job in an office, which was a complete change of scenery. One I think I struggled with quite a bit, coming off a building site where if
Yeah,
I'm angry with something, I'll just go and smash a roof tile or whatever,
yeah,
and then going
yeah.
into sitting behind a desk in a quiet office. I think I struggled with that, not being able to sit down for too long. And I just started down at the bottom. It was just an admin job, just punching stuff into the computer. And I've always had an interest in computers. Like right through school, I was interested in computers. So I'm sat in this office. I then go through several promotions, working my way up. I was on, I think when I started, I was on about 15 grand. It was nothing really. But it was a way in.
Which
And
wouldn't have been as good as labouring. Labouring was good cash in hand
yeah,
at the day,
it
but you
was.
never
Yeah.
got a pension and
Mm,
you never got anything.
yeah.
We didn't think about
Sickness
that though. We
pay
just
and
thought
stuff
about
like
cash
that.
for the
Yeah.
weekend. Get a new
Exactly.
car.
Yeah. Paid weekly and all that jazz. So yeah, and then I worked my way up, and I just got given opportunity after opportunity, which was great. I mean, I was sent to live in Sydney for almost a year by work. It was all expenses paid. I had to go and hire a team out there, go and train the team. I came back from that. Less than a year later, I was then sent back out again to go and hire more people. So I got to live in Australia. That was amazing. I got sent to Toronto. It was just opportunity after opportunity. The company was growing. They got bought out by a larger company, Symantec. They're not around anymore, but then when that happened, they then sold off half the business. When I got shifted on the other half, I then took a promotion to be a project manager, which it was a huge promotion. And then since then, and then I got made redundant from that, and now I'm in the job that I'm in now. But again, I say I'm a project manager, like I've got a team of project managers beneath me as well that sort of manage. So yeah, it's just been opportunity after opportunity, and it's just without going out of my way to make it happen, it almost feels as though it's just landed in my lap. It feels like I've not constructed this life at all. I've just lived day after day after day, and the longer I do
How
it,
many
it's
of us are
just
doing that though?
yeah, a lot I should think, a lot,
I think
just one day after the
COVID
next.
gave a good forced pause for a lot of people when they asked themselves, do I enjoy what I'm doing?
Yeah,
Do I
I
even like
mean,
what I'm doing? Why am I doing it? Who told
yeah,
me to do this?
yeah.
You know?
But yeah, the real passion for me is the fire service. I mean, when obviously I did apply. I applied to the service I'm in now when I was 17. And they said you can apply at 17, but if you're taken on, you can't join until you're 18. So I remember going through that process, and then obviously I wasn't successful then, because I did want it to be whole time. And then I applied to Avon as well, applied to another couple, just unsuccessful with it. And then life just gets in the way. I was sent off to Australia, I was sent here, I was doing bits and pieces there, and again living day by day by day. You build this life, this life that I'm living now, and then just one day I went past the station. There was a big banner outside saying "On-call firefighters required." So went in, spoke to my well, I mean he wasn't at the time, but the watch manager of the watch. He basically just offered me the job there and then. I was like, mental. So there you go. That's how it started. And now I get to be a firefighter and I get to, you know, do this. So
But I don't see you with project manager helmets and project manager jackets hung up
a lot
behind
of
you.
those there. Yeah, that's right. I
It
mean,
is the
what
strange
would a
thing though,
project
isn't it?
manager helmet look like?
I have no idea. I'm sure
Yeah,
white helmet with a
builder's
clipboard.
helmet.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
that's boring. The passion
there
is
is
that.
something
The
very
passion is
romantic
that.
and passion about the thing that we do.
Mm.
But I also think that's because we're so romantic about it, that stops us getting top talent at times because we don't pay very much,
Yeah,
and we rely on people doing it because it's something they've always wanted to do.
yeah. I find a lot of services rely on the goodwill of the
Well, the
on-call.
on-call runs on goodwill,
Yeah, 100%.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
Retained. There's non-stop goodwill.
yeah,
I think there's been a lot of push in unions over the last 7 or 8 years to try and get some stuff on salary and things like that. But I think the vast majority of places it's something ridiculous. It's less than £1 an hour, isn't it?
I
For
don't even know
on-call.
what it is. Like, I mean, it sounds horrible, and I know it probably piss a lot of people off, but I've never done it for the money. The job I do today pays more than enough for my
Yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah.
The fire service and doing on-call, it was never for the money for me. I love it. I
That's
think
not
it's
sustainable though for everybody.
yeah, for everybody. Yeah, I mean, I'm in a very fortunate position that I'm in.
Which you've earned. You've put yourself in that position, and fair play to you. And it's, everyone can make an effort and develop themselves and stuff like that. But we're relying on people to do it on the side project just
Yeah.
because I've got a passion for it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't suggest that it's a profession. We
Yes.
talk about professional firefighters,
Hmm.
and we go, well, what you're doing, you're kind of pitching it like adult Cub Scouts, which is kind of what it is, really. We all get together one night a week, we play with some weird stuff that we never usually play with, and we go, and every now and again we also go out on the real thing and we do the
Hmm.
real thing. But I'm like, we need to pay. We need to pay people more. It's not all about pay. I get it. Or you need to give them lots of development opportunities or something like that. And there is lots of development opportunities, and there's lots of incentives for employers to get their staff, men and women, to go and be a local firefighter. They get their first aid. They get lots of leadership
I don't
development
think
and
it's
all that
enough
sort of
though, is
stuff.
it? I mean, it's a big ask for local companies. And again,
Massive
I'm
ask,
quite
especially with all the
fortunate.
challenges they're facing now. Oh, do you mind
Yeah,
if your main manager, Adam,
yeah,
can be
it just
released
disappears off the
any
light.
time of the day? No, I'm paying him to run my goddamn business,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just trying to keep above water anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it
How
is.
about ram it?
I'm very fortunate. They've always been very, very supportive of it. But there have been times when it's been pulled into question because, most
Mm,
sites are what, an hour, 2 hours
yeah,
max. There
you
have
miss a
been
meeting every now and
times,
again.
yeah, there have been times when it's been a barn fire or something on the M5 or whatever, and it's taken up 6 hours of my day. And my agreement when I first started was I wouldn't claim overtime. I'd make up the hours, and they'd just let me go as and when needed. The only caveat was that it couldn't affect clients. So if I had a client meeting booked, I have to book off, which is fair because they don't want me
Absolutely.
dipping out of a meeting that's important to a client because the bells have gone off.
Yeah.
So I'm quite fortunate in that. They've been very, very supportive.
So take me back to the app development. So people think it takes thousands of hours. So give a little bit of a whistle stop tour there of what you do. So in
Hmm.
your world, I'm sure this is very. I come to you privately with
Yeah,
various little problems from
yeah,
time to
yeah.
time, and you're like, "Stupid boy." You never
No,
say that to me,
I've
but
never
you'd be
said
like, "Yeah, that's ridiculously simple, Pete. How are you alive? Like, how do you
that.
breathe every day? What are you doing? Do people let you drive cars?" Some of the stuff that you just is very seamless for you
But then I
because it's
sit in
part
front
of
of
your
a
world.
computer. Yeah, I sit in front of a computer all day, every day, problem solving, and that's just the world I live in, I suppose. So when things like app development, it was a bit of a there is a learning curve to it, but obviously I can't program in Python or SAS or Java or anything like that. So you just go and find the opportunity to do it another way. I'm a very visual learner, and I found a platform that we use today for Drillbook, which is very drag and drop, build the connections. It's all very
It looks
visual.
wicked. It
Yeah, I
looks
know
like
when you
something out of
zoom out
Mission
on it,
Impossible.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
so many screens on it. But if you think through it logically and piece it together, it all makes sense. So
yeah.
it's just a no-code app, and there is some coding in it, which I've found through Google and doing searches to make it work. But it's just problem solving, and you've got this idea, and you start structuring it, and you make the links between the pages, and then when you come up against a snag, you then get onto Google and try and find the bit of code that you need to then fix it, and it's just worked. Like it's just come together, and it's now what it is today, I suppose.
So let's go through what it is today.
Hmm.
Because people will be, hopefully everyone that listens will be familiar with this already. They might have just heard the ad read and they've probably never gone and actually had a look at what it is. Maybe some people think it's only applicable for recruits or
Mm.
something like that. So it's got a lot more strings to its bow now
Yeah, it
than
does.
it used to. So it just started out firstly with I think it was radio messages and the quick reference cards, wasn't it?
Yep. And then I
Yeah.
turned it into the drills. So I started putting drills into it. So a lot of I mean, I've got some of the red books up there. Look, the old drill
Manual of
books.
firemanship.
That's it. That's the one. But they were made like back in the, and I don't think there's been a revision since.
No,
But
there
a lot
hasn't.
of it, they still stand true. So like the P1, P2 drills, the L1, L2s, they're still used today. I just put it into a digital format. So use those drills, put it into Drillbook, and then added other drills, like you said, like the people that come up with these great drill ideas, put it into Drillbook before they go. So there's the drills in there now. We've got the quiz in there as well. There's two different types of quiz. They got flashcards and then you got the multiple choice quiz.
I think the quiz is the most popular bit now, I
Mm.
would say. I think that has
It
been
is.
the really good sort of draw, if you know what I mean. The
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you do on social media now, that we put out on all the platforms, super engaging because people like to have a little think, and they like to,
Yeah, yeah.
they like to question themselves in the morning, and it's a bit like, I also use another app, like a vocab builder app, and it just gives me a new
Yep.
word a day
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
learn. And I think of it very much in the same capacity.
Mm-hmm.
People come back and they look at Drillbook and they're like, Jesus, yeah, oh, what do I think about that? Or even if
Is it
there's been
this?
an
Is
error
it
in the
that?
question, which is rarely the case, but was
Oh,
in
it's
the earlier
happened.
days.
It's happened. As soon as I
We've
put it
had
out,
some,
like I soon get
I've,
messages
sent,
from people.
I've sent you some screen. I know you've said loads of screen, and people are like, seriously, bro? And you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, just,
But,
yeah.
and
I
sometimes
did
it's just as
60 that
simple.
night,
Yeah, it's just
So
as
I
simple
just.
as selecting the wrong answer as the correct answer sometimes as you put it out onto Instagram, and then as soon as it goes out, within minutes I'm getting messages. That's wrong. This is wrong. Like, what are you doing? I was like, sure, that's not that. Surely, like, I ballsed it up, so I go and delete it
That
and
still
redo it.
works
Yeah, yeah,
because
because
it
they're engaging
forces
with it,
that
and yeah,
engagement and someone going,
and they're having to think,
no,
going,
wait,
that's
am I
not right,
wrong? And they're
surely.
probably going to go and check, and they'll probably Google it. And so we're not doing that. You're not doing that maliciously,
Yeah,
by any
yeah,
stretch
yeah,
of the imagination. They're just little errors that pop up every now and
yeah,
again.
yeah. It
Yeah,
happens.
when we started looking at all the other options for it, I think we go to knots and lines quite soon after that as well, though.
Yeah, there's some knots and lines in there. In fact, actually, I've just done some filming like with knots and lines. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
put
now that
my
you've
own
got the
knots and lines
nice
on there.
Gucci thing on the table,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, what the mat? Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
that looks wicked.
I've got a couple more coming for the videos. Actually, one's for you. Like obviously you wanted one as well,
Oh, it's
and that's
awkward.
en
I did
route.
ask a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to bring it up
Saying
on
that
here,
actually, I
but
got
yeah.
an email yesterday saying that they've just shipped them, so it will be
Oh,
with you
yeah,
soon.
me
Yeah,
too. Me too. Yeah, I did
yeah,
as well. Yeah, it's like the taxi driver. Where is he? He's just turning your corner, mate. He's
yeah,
fucking not. I'm looking at the
yeah.
corner. He's not
Yeah.
here.
It is en route. I know
It's
they.
en route. It's in the
Yeah.
post. But yeah, I thought the knots and lines again because we did initially, or you as well. Like we started thinking about this for recruits
Mm,
after we got off the radio messages, which still goes on through development now. We were like, most people that are super eager at learning, and I had a long conversation with a girl called Lauren
mm,
yesterday, who's
mm.
just been selected. Selected? Yeah, she's just been selected to begin whole time in a service in the UK.
And she's doing an Instagram
And
thing, isn't she?
yeah,
Is it
she's
that?
got an Instagram
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
So she connected with me and Siobhan and
Mm-hmm.
the other girl who's got lots of Ange Everington. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, 100%, it's incredible. Go for it. Go
Mm-hmm.
for it. Share your story because people want to know because you can't really learn about this sort of stuff. And again, it's another thing about Drillbook. Yeah, it's useful if you're in the service, but if you're not in the services
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, what sort of stuff do they do? What are they like? That's when we got onto the interview questions.
Yeah.
Interview questions was a great addition, but sorry, before we jump past this, there's knots and lines. People that are unfamiliar, there is, God, I don't know why I've just said this, I'm going to trip myself. There's sort of 8 recognised knots that we teach now. We used to have, so what we got on there, the Alpine
There's more,
Butterfly.
isn't
So
there?
again, Alpine Butterfly won't be taught in a lot of services.
Nope.
Barrel hitch,
Yep.
also known as the lark's foot. We've got the bowline, taught everywhere. What's the origin of the bowline, Adam?
Sailing.
What's it for?
And for mooring, wasn't it?
No.
Go on then.
Because a mooring hitch or any kind of mooring knot, you want it to be self-constricting because you want it to hold.
Go on
But
then.
you also have it as a quick release, like a highwayman's hitch. You'd have that as a mooring hitch. But a bowline is a non-constricting knot.
Mm.
So it was actually designed as a rescue knot. So that's why I always used to talk to students about the one-handed bowline, because if I'm hanging from a rock, which I'm never going to be,
Yeah,
and someone lowers a line down to me, I want to be able to put it round myself and tie it. But as soon as you start pulling me up, you're going to kill me before you get me to the top. It's just going to crush me. So a bowline is a non-constricting knot.
I mean, you kind of hope that they would lower the bowline already tied.
Yeah, they load it down. You go, dickhead,
Yeah.
take
Well,
it back
I'll just tie
up.
it down here, shall I?
Yeah, I'm not just going to grip on the line, am I? Come on, use your brain. But you might just be some people that weren't Cub Scouts. I always loved knots and lines. My dad was a Cub Scout leader, so my mum and my dad, or more so my dad, taught me how to tie knots from a very, very young age. And used to chuck me up on top of the van to tie off, ladders and planks and bits of roofing and all this sort of stuff. And then, he'd get me back down and go, well, that shit, do it again. When I drive down the road and that bounces off and hits a car, that'll be all your pocket money gone for 3 years. So
Yeah.
you better make sure that's tied on.
Yeah, yeah. I find knots and lines is one of those things that is skill fade and it goes really quickly.
Should we teach it though?
Why not?
Well, why not? Because it might be useless. Like,
Is it? I
I
mean,
think
we
if you
do have
did,
its uses, and they are sort of limited uses, aren't they? There's specific things that we do where there is a knot that is required on whatever. Someone has determined that this one has to be a clove hitch, this one has to be a round turn 2/2 hitch, this when we're doing this bit of scenario, it's got to be like whatever, a bowline. Other
I
than that, we don't
think
really use
you
them.
should teach a figure of 8. You should teach a clove hitch. You should teach a round turn 2/2 hitch. Round turn 2/2 hitch is good securing knot.
Hmm.
Clove hitch, good securing knot, can be tied midline. Figure of 8, good stopper knot. So the line doesn't run through the lifting lowering mechanism or something like that. Double sheet bend, still in the books.
Yeah.
If you need to tie together 2 pieces of line, get a longer line.
So where we use that is on the boats. I mean, not me personally, but so there's on the front of the boat, there's a short, maybe 2 meter length, and then what they do is they then tie it to another piece. So when it gets picked up with a high-ab and lifted over, someone can control the boat with the longer line. Why not just put the longer line on the boat in the first place?
Yeah, that's the thing. A half hitch, I think we should still teach that as well. Overhand knot. If you don't know how to do an overhand knot, you're not allowed in the fire service. That should be.
You can't do an overhand knot. You can't do your laces, can you?
Who tied your laces this morning?
Little Velcro.
A figure of 8 loop or a re-rove figure of 8. Again, some of this stuff comes. So we've built this out. Some of this starts to dip into some more specific safe working at height stuff. Rolling hitch. I actually think a rolling hitch is very appropriate, but I can't say I've ever done one operationally in nearly 20 years. Can't think I've ever done. So that's what I mean. If you ran a frequency,
out as well.
Yeah, it does. There's two ways. It depends which way you're pulling it. Yeah, I think if you ran a matrix on what stuff do you do most in the job, but if we started running that matrix, we'd stop teaching a lot of ladders. I mean, we'd teach them, but we wouldn't make them such a massive focus of core skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Because how many times have you pitched a 13.5 operationally? I think I've done it 4 times in anger at an incident.
Maybe one?
13, 12, or 13 or a 12 meter, 13.5, 12.5, 10.5, whatever it is, in different services. I've only done it 4 times in anger. I use the triple X a lot, triple extension ladder.
Yeah, triple X is just it's lighter, isn't it? It's easier.
Use that all the time. Getting over fences, getting to the first floor, whatever. Really lightweight aluminium construction. Throw it up by yourself. It's very forgiving.
That's it. One person can use it. One person
bash it around.
Throw it up, yeah.
But yeah, 13.5, and that's a lot of people fail their sort of safe to ride assessments because they're not getting the words of command and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'd prefer we spent more time getting low and manoeuvring hose, rather than the ladder drill. But they're a nice. I think they also teach a lot of leadership. They teach a lot of command presence. You have to find your voice when you're doing ladder drills. You have to be able to assert yourself as a leader of that group of 4 people for a set period of time. So I think there's lots of additional benefits to doing all that sort of stuff. Take us back to the interview questions, because I think that was a really useful thing that we started. Because I started sending you loads of documents.
So I think
some that I got through.
You've got a wicked
means.
library of like fire service documentation. What did I think there's only about 20 questions on there, but they're all sort of fire service related questions. I think that we've probably seen over the years. And we've got a mechanism where people can build their own answers using the STAR method.
What's the STAR method?
Oh God, no, you're asking. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Situation, task, action, result.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the Badgeroony.
Yeah.
And again, it's a useful structure for people when you're thinking about it, because I'm typical, and I'm actually horrific at interviews, ironically. I'm good at talking to people, but like me sat in an interview, and this is where I think we're horrific at neurodiversity, which is why I think the interview questions helps, because a lot of people that come into the interview question element of Drillbook helps, because a lot of people come into the fire and rescue service, like you alluded to earlier. They're kinesthetic people. They're visual learners, or they like to do stuff. So when you actually force them to sit down in an office behind a desk and read something,
it's just
and then give a structured answer, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? This is a stupid way of doing it. I think it's a stupid way to recruit firefighters. I'd just have a load of team building days and assess people on a series of metrics around teamwork.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway,
Things could be done a
when
lot
I sit
better,
down,
couldn't they?
yeah, when I sit down to answer stuff, my ADHD brain drags me down 27 rabbit holes, which is obviously how the podcast ended up happening, because in this domain, sometimes it works. But in an interview, it doesn't work. So you need to have a set structure to be brief, concise, to the point. What was the situation? What was actually happening? What was the task that needed to be done for it to reach its success? And what was the action that you did to achieve that task that you did? Not that everybody else did. And as a result of the action that you did within the task to fix the situation, what was the result? What was the outcome? And then also, if you want to build on that, what did you learn from the experience? You know, what was your reflections on that? I did this, it didn't go well, I'll do better next time. I did this, but I think it could have been better, so I'll do this next time. So yeah, we encourage people to adopt that because it's still used in the vast majority of fire and rescue services when they're sat down doing an interview. It's a nice way for you to be concise with your answer and know how to move from one logical bit to the next. But yeah, I've had a lot of great feedback on those interview questions. I think they're very useful for people. I think a lot of people use it. We started thinking about what else does a firefighter do? Like we've got, obviously within the drills, there lives a lot of road traffic collision and all that sort of stuff. But we spoke about having separate areas for safe working at height and road traffic collision, and the trauma skills was a great addition because we started getting a lot of information.
Yep.
When we started exchanging documents and stuff, there's a lot of stuff in there around the growing role of trauma.
And 10-second triage came out around about the same time.
10-second triage came out a couple of years back. And lots of ways that we measure the consciousness of people, and my brain's gone empty for a second.
Or the old GCS scale.
GCA, Glasgow Coma Scale.
We don't really use that though, do we? Like, I mean,
no.
FPOS or FREC or whatever, we don't really cover that off, but a lot of the ambulance service do. But it's good to know.
Yeah. But there's something else that we use now, isn't there? God, I can't remember what it is. That reminds me of something else I need to send you, actually. Yeah, there's a new scale that we're aligning people to, but it is encompassed within a 10-second triage, effectively, I think. Oh, it's gonna, my brain's failing me. I'm not gonna get it. But yeah, the trauma skills area, it was a big one. IFCOs. So I'm not sure which one of us this one came from, but it's an old thing that I always was encouraged to do.
Yeah.
When
again, been around for years, hasn't it?
Yeah, and there used to be big IFCO documents for people to do a presentation on a piece of kit. So when you're on your development, it will be part of your development probably is to give a presentation about a piece of kit to the crews.
And it could just be ad hoc. Someone would pick that kit for you and be like, right, give me the IFCO for the FB5.
Tell me about it.
Give me the IFCO for the
You're just doing locker drills, right? So-and-so, get that off the truck, quickly as you can, find it, bring it to the front, tell everybody about it. And IFCO, again, we love our mnemonics, mnemonics and acronyms in the fire service. We absolutely love them. So IFCO was, or is, identification, function. So what is it? What does it do? Construction, what is it made of? Which I don't think is relevant. I think we need to get rid of that.
Yeah. But then
operation, how do you make it work? Advantages and disadvantages. And then testing. Yeah, how often do we test it? What do you need to do? You need to know the advantages and disadvantages. You need to know what it does. You need to know how to work it. You need to know what it's called. You need to know what you use it for. So that's the identification and the function. But the construction is always the bit where people like to wax lyrical about. This is a 2-stage centrifugal pump with a brass impeller with an exhaust gas ejector right? Who cares?
Made up of an alloy of some sort.
No one cares.
Some poly plastic or whatever.
It works to 720 bar on the high pressure hydraulic. No one cares.
Yeah.
How do you know it does that? It just said it on the data sheet.
And what are you going to do? On a little plate next to the pump as well, isn't it?
Yeah. 800 bar, 5 litres. Yeah, okay. Right, whatever. But I think you need to have a comprehension of its capacity, certainly when it comes to a pump. Like, what's the maximum literage this can pump per minute? What's the safe bar that you should operate it at? Or something like that. But when it comes down to how many ribs are on the rubber mat, no one cares. No. And it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
But
they're good, though. I do quite like IFCOs because it is a good way for people to learn, especially like new recruits, to get familiar with the kit that's on the truck.
Yeah.
In fact,
I want you to know how long it lasts for, like the battery or the fuel.
Yeah.
Like the,
Give me the critical stuff,
The 8.5, I always say it lasts about 85 minutes because it lasts an hour and a half. So that's how I always remember the 85s,
Oh, okay, yeah.
the LPPs, because it lasts about an hour and a half of fuel.
Yeah.
And that's an easy way to remember 85 minutes. But as long as you know how to use it, I always used to say to people, I don't want to know the molecular makeup of marmalade.
Yeah.
I want to know if you can open the jar. Yeah. I don't want to know the biological disposition of a banana. I want to know if you can peel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't come and I love when we're doing pumping and people want to get into the physics and they want to talk about that stuff.
But then
I'm
that's
really
a good
interested in it.
understanding. That's a good understanding of how the thing works.
And as a professional firefighter, I want you to get there eventually. But for, the first few weeks of the job, I want to know you can use it safely.
Yeah.
I don't care if you know how much the ladder
Can you deliver
weighs.
X amount of pressure? Like, what do you do if
Yeah.
there's a primer fault, or all those?
It says it's a 4-person lift. So you just need to know it takes 4 people to lift it. I don't need you to remember how much it weighs because you don't got a choice. Just because, you think it's about this, is about that. I'm going to work it out in your head. It's a 4-person lift. Okay, 4 people need to be there.
It's got 4 handles on it.
Yeah. That having been said, I remember carrying an LPP across a field by myself once and getting my arse ripped out.
Unit.
When I
You're a fucking tree, you are. I just picked it up, put it under my arm, and fucked off down the field.
Yeah, when I arrived at the riverbank,
Yeah.
and it was just a waddle. I just waddled with it, like a bear hugged it and waddled with it across this field. And I was just trying to do the best I could with what I got, and I was just like, I know you needed it, and you said, and I was stood at the truck waiting for anybody to come and help me, but nobody came, so I just picked it up and waddled across with it. Stupid, dangerous. Couldn't do that my entire career. I'd hurt my back. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, those sorts of things. Super important for people to get their head around.
If codes.
What else did we put into it then?
If codes. So So the way I designed it in Drillbook was that people could put their own if codes in. The idea behind it was that you would build out an if code for the kit that's on your truck, so you would then get to know it. One of the most frequent requests I get is for pre-built if codes. So someone like a video or an if code already built on the most popular bits of kit. So it could be a Weber SP60 spreader or something. And I guess we'll probably get onto it in a bit about what's next for Drillbook, but it's sparked ideas for.
Again, there's loads of that stuff out there. There's someone somewhere, and I used to have one for my service, like a massive online folder of PDFs for all of the if codes in service.
Yep.
Because someone's written them.
Yeah.
Someone's already bloody done that work.
Yeah.
But it's just sat in the back office somewhere, getting
in
rusty.
a filing cabinet that's never opened anymore because everything's online.
We just didn't put these things online. We just print them all out. Useful links section. I thought that was a cool thing because there's a few links we bounced back and forth that we couldn't think of a place for them to live. But it's good stuff to have on your phone if you've not already got a folder where you keep all these links. It's good to have these useful links. So within there, we've obviously got a link to National Operational Guidance so people can get the latest. I was going to say the latest and greatest, but certainly the latest, most up to date.
My National Operational Guidance, the intention is good. I think, to try and bring everyone in line with the same sort of stuff. But
I think if they just put someone like you in it on a secondment
try
for a year,
navigating through National Operational Guidance,
it is a nightmare, mate.
It's a pig of a fucking database.
I still get confused now whether I'm supposed to go into the training bit or the scenarios bit or the operations bit.
The way they've laid it out,
and the search function on it doesn't work. I type in some of the most generic things, like I'll type in rope rescue. Or I typed in train incidents the other day, and I tried several versions of rail incident, overhead power, and I just couldn't, for the goddamn life of me, find the hazards and stuff associated for trains. And I was like,
it's not
done now, done.
I dare say there's a lot of great data in there, and there's a lot of good information.
There's loads in there. People print stuff up and they go, "This is a nog." I'm like, I couldn't find it. Where's that?
Don't know. I went down this little rabbit hole and I clicked about 16 different links and landed on it. Yeah. Could you find it again? No. But there you go.
No, not a chance. Yeah. And equally, because since they did the login for it, even if you save the link, then you click on the link to go back into it, and it asks you to log in. And then once you've logged in, it doesn't take you because you've interrupted the link. It just takes you back to the home page. You can't launch the link through it.
Didn't they put the login on because there was a lot of training providers like Capita that were using it for.
Who cares?
Yeah, but then they squashed it and was like, right, you can only
This
get it
is
if you got
not
a fire service.
MI5.
Yeah, yeah.
These are not state
Just,
secrets.
yeah.
Do we care if a member of the public or a terrorist knows how we respond to a bloody building collapse? No. Come on. Get a
It would
grip.
make
What are you doing?
no difference to any of it.
There's nothing on there that's I'm not I'm not an important person in the government, but I don't think there's anything on there that's a national security threat. Get rid of the login. Anyway, National Operational Guidance is on there because people should refer to it. And there is a lot of
Yeah,
incredible work that has been
like I
done
said,
inside it if you know how
exactly.
to navigate it well and efficiently.
That's the key. Yeah.
10-second triage, on the other hand, that tool will take you straight there. So if you don't know what 10-second triage is, you can click that link and it will take you straight through to it. And it's a really useful tool, and we encourage people to print it off, laminate it, put it in your pocket.
Yep.
It's really good
Super
to have
easy.
when you're on the trucks. Very easy to navigate. A paramedic will thank you for having it rather than you telling them some long, arbitrary story about your day. And they just want this. They want this information. Yeah,
P1.
that's what they want when someone comes to talk to you. Don't tell them that you did a lifeguarding course and you used to be a first aider at work. No one cares. No one cares, okay? Just tell me the thing. Euro Rescue app, really, really good.
That's
so
good,
similar
like
to the ERG, not the ERG, sorry. There was another one that's like Euro Rescue. Can't remember what it is. I used to use a different one.
Are
But
you
it
on
didn't
about the
stay up
crash
to
data?
date.
Though? You on about
Yeah, no, the crash data we have on the
crash.
trucks. There used to be another app. I can't remember what it was, but it didn't stay up to date as much. So Euro Rescue has got a lot of the newer vehicles on it. It's got all EV vehicles on it and stuff as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's good though.
Euro Rescue can use the can you use number plate recognition on Euro Rescue?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can as well. So yeah, that's why Euro Rescue is really good, guys and girls. When you go into an incident, it's an RTC, road traffic collision, and you want to know stuff about that vehicle. You want to know where the airbags are, what fuel type it is.
It's particularly important, I think, for EVs because they're not all the same, are they? So for petrol and diesel vehicles, things like airbags are generally in the same sort of positions, aren't they? Like they're all, the curtains, it's going to be somewhere in that rail. For things like EVs, where the disconnect or the safe disconnect points, they're in different locations, and they might not have just one; they might have multiple. And they definitely got multiple batteries and they isolation points and so on. And you won't know that unless you looked at that data,
Yeah.
or you've got an
Like in
understanding
a lot
of
of the
that
big
car very
EVs,
quickly.
all the batteries are in the floor pan. But I was in a 4x4 the other day where all the batteries were under the back seat, or they made
Really?
up most of the back seat.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
if
I
you
know what
do
you mean.
start
Yeah. So if you start
puncturing
spreading
into that,
for a B post rip or something, you're pressing into that battery.
yeah, you're going to puncture one of them little capsules,
Mm.
one of them pouches.
Then
Then
you're in
you're
a
in a
world of
whole
trouble.
world of shit. It starts hissing out all this toxic explosive gas.
Yep.
Everybody runs away and leaves the casualty in the
Yeah.
car. So Euro Rescue, really, really useful to have that app available to you guys and girls. Go outside and try it on your own vehicle. You'll find out stuff about your own car you didn't know. It's important to have that information. We've got JESIP on there. What does JESIP stand for, Adam?
Joint Emergency Services Interoperability.
Back of the net. Boom!
Yeah.
So yeah, we're supposed to work nicely with our friends. Police, ambulance, fire, other first responders.
I think a lot of that's
second
just common
responders.
sense, though, isn't it? If you
It
turn up
is,
to an
but you
incident
get.
with, it's nice to have the structure, but turn
It's
up to an
nice to have the
incident
structure
and just communicate with
so
each other.
that people when they're arriving at incidents, we should all be aligning to that same joint decision making model. So it's a good way to work through it. So you're gathering the information, you're assessing the threats, consider powers, policies and procedures, who's in charge of what, who has the power to do what, identify options and then take action. It's a cyclic thing of that situational awareness, continuing to gather that information as you're working as an incident commander. But it's useful for all crews, really, when you think about assessing the threats and what information and data looks like on the incident ground and who needs to know it and who you should have shared it with. JESIP principles, when not done well, Manchester Arena as an example, it can go very, very badly. So
that's probably one of the
it's
greatest
good for people to
examples,
be
isn't it?
understanding of what that does. Civil contingencies, use this lexicon and they use this model as well. So a lot of local resilience forums will be aware of JESIP and they can plug themselves into it as well. So a really, really useful tool. So that will take you straight over to the JESIP. I don't know who put the JESIP app together, but that's much more user friendly.
Yeah.
It's much better than NOG, with all due respect. I imagine someone in the government got somebody good to do the JESIP thing. because it works really well. So yeah, you can go and have a look at that joint doctrine, the interoperability framework. It's a good standard approach for multi-agency incidents, and pretty much every incident these days is a multi-agency incident. You go into an RTC, you're working with the police, you're working with the ambulance, you go to a fire, same people will be there. We might be the ones doing most of the fun stuff, but it's important to talk to our brothers and sisters in the shared first responder world. Weber Rescue app, what's that?
That is, so Weber, you may have seen it, they do like, the tips and tricks for how to perform certain extrication methods. So that app, you can dive into it and it'll tell you how to do a dash lift or a B-push rip or, a full roof removal. It will give you the steps required to do that.
Like 20 years ago, Whole Metro made loads of really nice posters.
Yeah, I got some Weber ones from a recent thing that I went to.
People will still see those posters in changing rooms and toilets and on walls down corridors, but you can really struggle to get hold of them again. And also, unless you take a picture of it and do da-da-da-da. The Weber Rescue app is that in your pocket, and it's got some interactive elements to it as well.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good when thinking about which order do I do the cuts in? Do I do the relief cut first and then do I spread off the bottom? Or wait, no, is that a dash lift or a dash roll? Where am I supposed to? Which one do I need the ram for? And which bit do I do first? Am I supposed to cut through the windscreen or not? Do you know what I mean? They're always the tricky bits. Whenever I go and do endpoint assessments for firefighters come up to their end apprenticeships and we're doing an RTC, and we say, oh, one casualty driver side, partial pedal entrapment, trapped by nature of their injuries. And they start having the conversation about their tactical plan, and some of them start saying, oh, let's do a dash lift or let's do a dash roll and stuff like that. And we try and steer them away from it, just because it can go wrong. It can go wrong easily. Not saying that they can't do it, but they'd usually do it under the guidance of an incident commander, whereas when they're doing these endpoint assessments, you're just there to coach them. You're not there, or you're not even there to coach them, sorry, you're just there to keep them safe. So they're supposed to just do it themselves, and it can go horribly wrong if you don't get the cuts in the right places and the metal starts to shear and tear and it comes away from the floor pan or whatever, and they can get themselves in a right little tizzy. So we try and steer them away from it, but unless you've got a road traffic, an RTC instructor on your station, you can have debates, as I'm sure you've probably seen many times on a drill night, where it's like, no, that's not how you do it. You've got two junior officers arguing about how to do a dashboard roll or how to do a B-push
two that always
grip.
get mixed up, isn't it? The dash roll and the dash lift, they always get mixed up, and someone be like, oh no, you got to put the cut here, and you got to do this first, and like you said, and those two, I think they just get mixed up all the time.
100%. I think we need to add a link in for UKRO. Can you make a note about that somewhere?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can do that.
So UK Rescue Organisation have started doing a lot. They do have a paid academy, which you have to pay a lot of money to be part of. But they have also got a bunch of free resources on their website. And we had Ian Greenman on the podcast recently, chair of the UK Rescue Organisation, or he might be president, or don't know what his job is. But he's an awesome bloke. And they're doing a lot of great work there. So Weber, obviously a manufacturer of equipment, so they know gold standard of how to operate the kit. And then they work with Fire and Rescue Service specialists' expertise, in quotes, to come up with appropriate extrication techniques to align with how we might go about the job practically. Whereas UKRO are kind of coming from the other direction. They obviously don't make the kit, but they are the innovators and recognising best practice about how to... it's a shame the National BA Challenge don't actually put any information out about best practice. I mean, obviously, they do best practice at the national competition, but... everyone's always hunting for best practice with breathing apparatus and fire behaviour.
To be fair, I've not seen it, but isn't there like a rule book of like how you get the points and such on national breathing apparatus?
No.
There isn't?
No. You heard me talk about it maybe on the podcast.
That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, so they were very open and transparent.
If you get like 10 points for, the fireground layout, this is what we expect, or, whatever it is.
There was 100 points, and I might get this wrong. People have to go back and listen to the second National BA Challenge episode, but they went into the marking criteria, which I was very surprised that they did. So they said there's 100 points available for pump operating, there's 100 points available for entry control, 100 points available for incident command, but there's 200 or 300 points for BA. And again, within that was its own marking criteria as well, but they don't make the marking criteria publicly available because they don't want people trying to tick boxes.
Yeah.
So
I
I
can see
understand why they
pros
don't
and
make it publicly
cons
available.
of but at the same time,
And
wouldn't
also
it be
then
great
it'd
to
be
have
like
people working
then
together?
everybody would be start arguing about the marking criteria. So it is what it is, gang. Just go and do the best you can with the time you've got. It's all about speed of execution and safety. Situational awareness. I've not won it, so I can't say what
Have you
good looks
competed in
like.
it?
No, the service that I work for don't do anything like that. Unfortunately,
To be fair, I think
there's
ours have
many,
only.
many, many fantastic people in the service that I work for who would be great at it. I'm sure they'd crush it. But we don't seem to have much of an appetite for engaging in things like that. All the cool stuff that I tend to do, Tall Buildings Conference, Women in the Fire
It's off
Service
your own
National Beer
back, isn't it?
Challenge, UCRO, it's just all off my own back. Yeah, it's just, I take annual leave to go and do it, which is a bit sad. But it is what it is. And that's kind of how the podcast needs to exist. It needs to be independent. I couldn't go to places on behalf of my service because I'm not there representing them ultimately. But it is a bit sad because it stops me competing in things like the National Beer Challenge. It doesn't stop me competing in all the firefighter fitness stuff because I can
Yeah.
just go there as an individual and do the individual thing. But no, my service doesn't send people stuff like that. And it does. I did feel, obviously I was there documenting it and recording it and I enjoyed it and I got to learn a lot more by observing.
Yeah.
But there's nothing quite beats doing it yourself. So
Our
I might move.
guys have obviously our guys won it this year,
Yeah.
but they've only done it for the last 2 years, and I think even the first year was a bit of a cluster. Like there was hassle in getting the pump, and like because it had
Yeah.
to come from like an on-call station, and it had to be the second pump, and you could only
Yeah.
have it for a certain amount of hours, and then it had to get back to like the station. There was a lot of logistical nightmares.
Yeah.
This year, I think they put a lot more effort into it. I think it was a bit of a last-minute thing last year. This year, put a lot more effort into it, and they went and won it. So,
Yeah.
but there's also a cost associated with it as well, isn't there? So I think
Yes.
with the
There's a couple of £1,000 you have
it
to pay.
is, yeah, it's a good couple of grand.
Yeah.
Which
Submit a
obviously
team.
that comes out of well, it's public money essentially, isn't it? So you got to
Yeah.
justify why you're using it.
I don't think the public would have a problem with it.
No, I don't think they would either, especially if there's
They go,
like
what are you
learning
doing?
that comes out of it. It's
You're
not just a
going to
competition.
try and develop best practice and bring that back to the community that I live in. So the firefighters around me are going to be even better at going into house fires and saving people. Yeah, I'd love to do that. If we told them some of the other stuff we spend money on,
Yeah.
I think they'd have a problem with that.
Yep. Oh, yes.
You're having another meeting about equality. How much is that going to cost? You're having another big meeting. You're spending another 10
Putting
grand
out
on
a
them.
video on this has been done by a production company. It's cost 10 grand for this video on
Yeah.
wire.
The amount of money we spend sometimes on getting someone to make a glossy CRMP. Now CRMP is really important.
Yeah.
Risk management plan, community risk management plan.
Does it
Just
have
put
to
it out
cost as much as it does, though?
put it out as a PDF. Just put it out as a bloody Word document. No one cares. It's the information is very important. You don't need all of the sexy pictures and stuff like that. Most people, only people who are going to read it are really interested in the fire service anyway. It's going to be senior leadership team, people looking for promotion, local fire authority, and a few other politicians. You don't need to spend thousands of pounds on some glossy document. Get a grip. That's just an ego flex for whoever put that document together, and they were given
No,
a
I agree.
budget to do it.
Like spend the money on things like these challenges.
Yeah,
Like the guys who went to UCRO this year
yeah,
came back
all that
and
sort of stuff.
put together an all-day seminar thing where there was like talking
Wicked.
points about different aspects of like EV vehicles and extrication methods, the exit project, and all the bits and pieces that they'd learned from UCRO. Came back and put together an all-day thing with demonstrations. They had the guy from PackX was there. Like there was bits of like free posters from Weber and all that sort of stuff. Turned it into an all-day thing. Brilliant.
Yeah. And
Brilliant.
even
And that
beyond
costs
that,
like
there's
a
so much
couple of
more
grand or
juice in
whatever.
the squeeze there. You could ask them to record some videos for your training department.
Exactly.
They're not coming away going, this is the best way to do everything. They're just saying, hey, look, this is some of the weird and interesting stuff we saw the other teams doing.
Yeah.
And this is something we hadn't thought about before. And this was a challenge that we hadn't considered before.
It just gets you thinking, doesn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
some of the stuff that they came back with would you do
EV
this
vehicles,
in
and
this
when something
situation?
goes into thermal runaway, and how do we do that, and having BA on standby, and how would we transition into that type of rescue? Really, really important stuff for people
Yeah.
to
What
have
was
in the
really
back
cool
of their
about
heads.
this thing is they actually had some of the battery packs They had them laid out, so you can actually see what the actual battery packs are and what they look like and what the isolation leads look like and what the because some of them are like cut loops, aren't they? And some of them are actually like pull plugs. Like, so it's just good to see it rather than just look at a document that says, "Oh, you're going to find it here." No idea what it looks like until you see it.
The first time you'll ever see it is when you open it up and you turn to each other and you go, "Do you reckon that's it?" Yeah, I think that's it. It's a bit like the picture I've seen once. I
Yeah,
heard it's supposed to be orange.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that looks orange to me. All right, should we cut it? I don't know. You should cut it. I'm not going to cut it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
what if it
Do I
goes
have to wear
bang?
electrical
I'm
gloves?
just
Yeah,
going to lean away whilst I cut
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, that visor down.
Do I need to stand on a rubber mat? I don't think so. I can't remember. I
Yeah,
think you'll be all right.
yeah,
Get the recruit to do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah.
So I think we've gone through a lot of the functionality of the elements of it there. There's a few other things I wanted to talk to you about. I want to talk about what's coming next with it.
Mhm.
I want to talk about trauma card.
Yes.
Where do you want
No
to go
one
first?
knows. No one knows what that is yet.
What
So,
is it?
what trauma card? Do you want to go other development ideas, or do you want
No
to
other
go?
development ideas. Go there.
Okay, so I'll
What's
come
in the
back to
pipeline?
what's next for Drillbook then.
What's behind the wall that no one sees?
So there's a few other ideas that I've been working on in the background that I've not given as much focus because time's limited and so on, and doing Drillbook and work and on call and all that jazz. But I have built out some other applications that potentially could be really good. I think maybe I need to put out there for people to get involved in it and help out with it because I just don't have the time to get on it, and
You
maybe
just
we
told me
partner
off
up.
for not doing that a minute ago.
Yeah, I know. We're all bad at it, aren't we? No one likes asking for help, do they? But one of the ideas is trauma card, and it came about because of misinformation around incidents that you turn up to. So what I was hearing a lot of was, if you go to an RTC and someone's got life-changing injuries, they're fine. The problem with the fire service is we package these people up and we send them off and we never hear about them ever again. And then you get the rumor mill. So I know of instances where, there's been babies involved and whatnot, and we've been told, oh, they've died. Speak to someone else. Oh, no, no, they've lived. Speak to someone else again. Oh, no, they're definitely dead. Like, it's almost having to relive that thing of, did we do enough? Didn't we do enough? Did we do enough? Didn't we? And it's all that back and forth, misinformation. Or, you'll package someone up, send them off, and you won't hear anything. And then 6 months later, you'll be talking to another crew on another job, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, that person died. And it's just that, I
You're
don't
not
know.
able to close the loop and get
Yeah,
closure
exactly.
on it.
That's exactly
And
it. Yeah. So,
yeah, that's what triggers a lot of trauma. People going, did I
yeah.
do the right thing? Did I not do the right thing? Should I have done more?
And I think the
Did
problem
they
is
make it?
some of it is, there's the privacy laws in this country are very strong. And so people can't share information like that. I think ambulance, obviously police would know because of, if someone has died, then there's a criminal investigation going on. Ambulance, by all accounts, ambulance don't actually have the right to know either. But because they're in the environment, taking people to and from hospitals, they can find out fairly easily
Yeah.
what happened to
How's
that
so and so
individual.
getting on that we dropped off last week?
Exactly, and they're more inclined to talk to that person because they're a paramedic or whatever. Fire service, bundle them up, package them off, and never hear again. Um, so
And we're the people that they get first contact with,
yeah,
usually. So we're with them right from the beginning, but then we hand them over.
yeah, and I just think there was a better way of doing it. So, and there's a lot of, I mean, we call them diffusers in our service, where after a horrific accident or whatever, they come and have a chat with you. Some call it trim, some like there's other different bits and pieces. What I wanted
London's
to
got a new
do,
weird one. I don't know what London's got something different, which is no bloody surprise.
yeah,
But yeah, I think a lot of UK Fire and Rescue Service do
yeah,
trim, and then
yeah,
there is others that have the diffuser element of it. Trim, it all came from the military. Trim did.
yeah. So the idea was to give the diffusers or the trim leaders, or I don't know what they're called, the tools to be able to give the right information. So the idea behind the app, and I've sort of fluffed around it a little bit, but the idea, I was looking at things like the organ donor app,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
the organ donor card where people can opt in or opt out of it. The idea would be that if I was the end user, I could sign up to Trauma Card, just Joe Blogs in the public, And in that app, it would say, I give permission for so and so, who is a nominated person, to talk about my condition if I'm involved in anything such as a trauma or a RTC or whatever it is. That person, obviously, you create your account, you'd nominate that person, they'd have to give permission to say, yeah, we'll accept that role. But then it also leads on to, so and so's nominated me for trauma card, I'll go and sign up to trauma card. And so it's got that sort of spiral effect where more and more people will sign up to it. And the idea is
So
that the
would you have
trim,
this as, would we need to nominate someone within a fire and rescue service?
yes.
Or
So
would we just
the
be able to
idea,
nominate our own rescue service? So do you think, like, let's say I'm a member of the public and it says, log on to Trump Card. Like the donor app, there's some
Mhm.
adverts that go out about it. When people visit the local fire station, they can see a poster about it and they can scan a QR code and it could say, I nominate West Mids Fire and Rescue Service to be able to have access to my thing. Or would they need to nominate a person? How does the GDPR work?
No. And this is partly, again, I've built the app.
Understanding how
The
that
app,
bit works.
yeah, so
What's,
there's a lot of legalities around it. So the idea in a nice world, if I've signed up to Trauma Card and I've said, right, I nominate Pete as my representative or whatever we want to call it, Pete can talk about my condition on my behalf if I'm unable to. So if I have an accident and go into hospital, the idea is that it would only be accessible to fire and rescue services, potentially ambulance services, and maybe police. So it's only to the blue lights. And it would be limited to those trim individuals or diffusers, whatever we call them. So you can scan a QR code, you can search for the person and find that nominated contact. And then they could go and contact you, Pete, and say, well, Adam was involved in an accident.
It's a much better way.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
So, Adam's been involved in an accident. We don't want to disturb
like your
him.
next of kin.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I didn't want to call it next of kin. It could be your next of kin. Just
Could
a
be.
nominated contact.
Well, if you're
Someone you
dead, you're
trust.
definitely not going to go and tell the fire service how it went.
Exactly, yeah. So the idea would be that the diffusers could go and contact that nominated person. They could contact you, Pete, and say, look, it's been a week or so. Obviously, we just want to give feedback to the crews, and
Our records show that Adam was involved in this incident at this time.
You've been nominated. You've obviously signed up.
Just wonder how he's getting on.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's not good news, then they can go back to the crews and say, chaps, it was not.
They
good
might
news.
go, he's fine. He's back at home now.
Yeah,
Bloody hell, I'm
exactly.
so glad you got in contact.
Yeah,
you know what?
yeah.
We were going to pop to the station, but we didn't actually know what station it was
Exactly.
that actually came to look after him because we went to the local station and they said they weren't on that job. So, like, I don't know who it is. And they say, oh, well, it was so-and-so crew at Western Station. And they go, oh, great, we'd love to come and say thank you to him, and just like... Because that's great. I've had 2 or 3 times when people have come to the stations.
Yeah.
Usually when it involved their kids and the kids had come to the station, they'd said thank you and brought us some box of chocolates or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it's just
it's nice to
closure.
see, though, isn't it? Yeah, it's nice to see that the actions that you did on that night or whenever has had a positive impact, and they're on the road to recovery.
Yeah,
but
that
then
works
on the other
really
hand,
well. So the person the person signing up, me, the member of the public signing up, I'm just saying I give consent for the emergency services to make contact with this person. Yes. And then from the other side of the platform, the 3 local services, police, ambulance and fire, they're nominated diffusers, trim.
And it would only be limited to those, carers. The trim people.
They get
it's not open to everyone in the fire
database.
Yeah.
That's the idea. You know, we've spoke about this before. This is like got such legs for a national campaign.
Yeah.
It's massive.
It's just the time. I need. What I might do is I might reach out to because really it needs to be a charity, doesn't it?
Do you think Mind charity or somebody like that, or
I was thinking maybe someone like the 999 Reset guys or something. I don't know if
they would love it.
Yeah.
So Andy would love it.
But maybe it does have to.
Hasn't got capacity, skill set.
Okay.
With respect to Andy.
Yeah, or maybe
it
is a,
but it's not, isn't it? It's not
a
in his
national
wheelhouse.
Charity like Mind or something like that, and then maybe they could offer training and courses on trim to fire services.
Do you know? Actually, here you go. Blue Light Card have a charity built into them, and it's a bit like, it's called the Blue Light Card Foundation or something like that, It's on my list to ask them for help, to be honest.
Yeah.
They give donations and resources to worthy causes.
Okay.
Because Blue Light Card is not based very far away from me. The people that started it,
Yeah.
one of them was a police officer. We had them on the podcast like 4 years ago, the founders of Blue Light Card. And now they're
Massive.
probably £1 billion organisation. At least a multi-million pound organisation. At least way past that. And they started a foundation within it as well.
That's cool.
To give money and resources to worthy causes. And they've given money to loads of charities. And every year they're looking for things to give money to.
Yeah.
Because
so like maybe the idea is that we turn.
I think Blue Light Card would be in for it because it's up their alley. You just need to get to a decision maker, don't you?
Yeah.
It would make sense for them because it's under the guise of mental health for our first responders, closing that loop, reducing the. You're taking stuff out of that trauma backpack that first responder is carrying around with them their entire career.
Yeah.
Am I any good at my job? Did it make a difference? Did that girl die? Did that little kid in the back?
It's just the closure element.
Think about it every day. I don't know if they made it or not. She came back twice at the roadside and then she was bundled away. Did she die in the ambulance? I don't know.
So I think it'd be great to get it off the ground and maybe set Trauma Card off as a charity, and I know there's like a process that's got to go through, but yeah, maybe Blue Light Foundation is a good way to go, because these things, they do cost money. So creating an app, something like Trauma Card, which if it did go national, the problem with apps is the more popular they become, the more money they cost to run. So it's all done on database actions and everything else. So the more people that use it, it's the same with Drillbook. The more people that use it, the more money it costs. So in a way, the greater the success of your thing, the more it's going to cost you money. So
yeah,
it's just, I don't know. I need to look into it more. I do. It is a good idea.
It's an incredible
I think it's
idea.
a brilliant idea, to be honest. Like, I know it's my bag and I've sort of been like, oh, this is great, but I've sort of built the app for it. I just need to.
You've had some shit ideas, and this is a good one.
So yeah, there's that.
This is a really good idea.
Trauma Card. So I don't know if anyone wants to give me advice on how to set up a charity or could give me some time to help get it across the line, then brilliant. Get in touch.
Yeah, I don't think you just need advice, because I think you're a smart enough cookie. You probably learn all of that yourself quite quickly. You need help. You need human power. You need human hours of someone that's already in this sphere to do something like this. Because I have it with the podcast, which is now more or less successful than anything. But like, I don't need more advice. I need help.
Yeah,
that's what you need sometimes. You just need help. It's just hours of time.
So I mean, if there's anyone out there that has a skill set and wants to get involved, then let's get it across the line, I think.
We all talk about making a difference until it comes time to doing the thing. People like the view, they don't like the climb. Do you know what I mean? People like the idea of what you're doing, but they don't like the idea of sitting for hours and hours wondering why this new link you've created in Drillbook isn't working.
Yeah.
You've got to go back through the whole thread to find where it fell down. The podcast looks like a lot of fun until you spend 4 hours editing every day.
Yeah.
And then you just want to.
It's time consuming, isn't it? It's
massively time consuming.
I guess like what people see is the polished version.
They just see the front and they go, oh yeah, but that's a right laugh for that person. Oh, they get sponsors and they get paid as well, and it's all right for them. And you're like, they don't get paid anything. And if it was, it'd be worse than retained.
I mean, like your expense, I think, having to buy all the podcast equipment, having to buy the editing software, there's always expense. Your time.
Always expense.
Your time. Like you said,
time never gets paid.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Elon Musk has got a famous quote about it. Like he's on less than minimum wage, and people are like, oh bullshit, blah 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 blah. And he's like, I'm an addict. I'm a workaholic. I'm working 20 hours a day. I don't even know where I get paid, if I get paid at all. I just most of everything goes through expenses. I don't think I have much of my own money at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like all the stuff that comes in with our sponsorship. I've never been paid anything from the podcast. It's never sent me. I've never given an invoice. It's never sent my bank account a payment.
Exactly, yeah.
It's all, I took a train there, I bought this bit of software, I bought that bit of kit, I ordered something off Amazon, we started making some hoodies or some t-shirts, or we had to pay for the Riverside for another year, and then we had to pay for Spotify, or not Spotify, I had to pay for the hosting platform. and then this, and then the Google account for the teams to work on, and then the Canva account, and then
It's all the hidden stuff, isn't it? It's the stuff
just
that
the
nobody sees.
tools that help you get the thing to the end. That's where it's the old mining. You know, when mining, do you know who got rich during the mining era? People that sold picks and shovels.
Oh yeah, give them the tools.
People sifting for gold didn't make the money.
Yeah. People.
One of them did. A couple of them made it. Everybody selling the picks and the shovels made money.
Yeah.
And that's what you think about podcasting and anything. Podcasting for some people is just a big ego flex. I just want to tell everyone I've got something really important to say. So all of these platforms, most podcasts, I think if you make more than 7 podcasts, you're in the top 10% of podcasters ever. If you make more than 7 episodes, because most people don't keep doing it.
Yeah. That's
because there's no money in it. There's no money in it until you're like 7 years deep and you've actually managed to get it good and it's on a YouTube account and the YouTube pays you.
There's no such thing as an overnight success, is there?
No, never. It's that long J curve, which is lots of investment, and then eventually it might start ticking up towards the end if you can go through the lonely chapter of speaking into the void. So we've got Trauma Card. Epic idea. Someone get in contact. Give Adam some time.
Great. I've also got another one.
So I always say working with you, it's like if you give 30%, Adam will give you 70. You give 10, Adam will give you 90. He's not asking you to meet him halfway. You know what I mean? That guy will over deliver. And I always think the same, like whenever I work with someone with a podcast, I'm like, it should feel like an absolute bargain working with us. It should feel like, oh my God, we got way more than we were asking for, you know, of time and help and resources and consultation and advice and work. You know, it should feel like an absolute bargain. You don't want anyone to walk away from working with you and be like, I felt a bit robbed there.
Yeah.
I feel like someone got one over on me. You know,
you want them to come back, don't you? You want them to come back. You want them to carry on being engaged. You don't over-deliver on the deliverables.
Always, yeah. Under-promise and over-deliver. Always, always, always. What else we got?
I also have a command support app that I'm sort of building as well. So, how did that one come about? That came about because we've still got the big
your own promotion and instant command.
But also having to, you know, when you get nominated as command support on an incident, it comes the big folder, it comes all the paper, and then you look in the truck, and all across the dash is just scraps of paper. Yeah. Most of it is meaningless. There's a lot of gumph in that pack of just stuff that isn't really needed. All they really track, to be honest, is radio messages, right? When they were saying decisions log, all that sort of thing. Yeah. There's a lot of papers there for, you know, who's now joined the instant ground, like what time did they get here, what's their call sign, all that sort of jazz. Great. But it's just paper and it's flipping everywhere. And it's always a bit of a mess. So I just thought, why in this day and age, when every truck has got an iPad, are we still using pen and paper?
Have you seen Tablet Command?
I haven't. You had them on the podcast, didn't you?
Yeah, I had the two originators on the podcast. Yeah. They do loads of cool geotagging and all the mapping of the building, and you can
see. For me, I mean, it might be a great product. I just think overkill.
Might be overkill. I don't know.
I just the one I've put together is just simple. It's just taking those paper documents and putting them onto the app. And the idea behind it is everything you do in the app is logged in the decision log, all your messages logged in the log. You can add people to the incident, you can take people away from the incident, again all logged in the decision log. As you're going through
sectors,
sectors, you can do the ARAs in sectors, you can add all your hazards, you can do all your ARA boards, and then anyone who's coming on to the incident, it will take that information and it'll bring it into because everyone's meant to, you know, as they come on,
arriving officer, they should look at the risk assessment.
Yeah, they should come to command support and say, right, what's the crack? Command support are there as the gatekeepers to the incident. Never happens. They just stroll on into the incident and just get stuck in straight away.
And that's how mistakes get made, because the brief you gave at the beginning or the risk assessment you carried out ages ago didn't get handed over, didn't get updated, and the oncoming crews didn't know about it, so they weren't told that there was a drop off at the back, and they just went straight into the pit because no one told them.
Yeah. So the idea is that all of that data gets put into a sort of oncoming crew brief, that they can read on the way to the incident of everything.
That's a game changer.
The incident commander can have their iPad with them, so whatever's sent through command support, they can view. It's got timers in there, so every 20 minutes for their informative messages, so it just ping up saying.
Have you thought about speaking to Catherine Lamb about this?
Why does that name ring a bell?
Catherine Lamb, we've had her on the podcast before. Catherine Lamb Associates, she runs one of the biggest incident command training companies in the UK now. So she goes all around the UK, and now she's got Canada, Sweden, America. She's doing loads. Yeah. It's called Effective Command.
Okay. Yeah, I might reach
So
out.
Effective Command is their online training tool. Within it, excuse me, within it is loads of scenarios, and built into those scenarios is your initial messaging, and then some situational awareness, and then some nudges to what tactical options or strategic priorities you should be considering. But it's all it's all just a training tool.
Yeah.
There's no part of Effective Command, to my limited knowledge, there's no part of it you actually use on the incident ground. Obviously, you use all the knowledge in the learning, but you don't use an actual functioning app of any kind. You can put performance into it, so you can put like you can do OPMs, so operational performance monitoring, where I go as a station manager and I see what Adam did at the incident,
and write up a report,
and then I fill out something after that, and that goes on your CPD log, if you will, to show that Adam has carried out these command hours at this point during the year, and he was all right or he was rubbish.
Yeah.
And then off the back of that, it should feed into your annual incident command assessment, so that we know how good or bad you are and what sort of stuff you're working on. But there's no like functionality tool for command support operators or command support vehicles or the incident commander themselves. And like you say, we're all carrying tablets and tough books. We're bringing them up to look at site-specific risk information or national operational guidance. If you've got a spare half an hour to try and find your way through the correct links, you might be able to find some useful tactical options. But failing that, I think speaking to someone like Catherine Lamb might be useful.
Might have a chat, yeah. I mean, and the other part is, I mean, we still got the fixed NDTs on the trucks, and they were looking to move to, the removable, I guess, like a tough book that can go with the incident.
Yeah, we've got them. Tablets you can lift off and take around with us. So you use on risk inspections and everything. Yeah, someone's having a right con there, aren't they?
Hundreds of thousands of pounds to get that implemented. It is phenomenal money. Whereas every truck's got an iPad.
Just because they saw it was the fire and rescue service asking. They just added a few zeros.
Yeah. It's like when you put a baby or wedding in front of anything. That's it's like add the zero.
For that, is it? No, it's £1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I've not even told you what it is yet. It's £1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can I hire this hall? Yeah, sure. It's £100. Just for a wedding. Now it's £1,000. Yeah. The same hall though. But,
yeah. And you only get half a day for that, and you're not allowed to use the toilets.
Yeah, exactly.
Toilets are an extra £300.
Yeah, spend a penny, you got 300 guests. Yeah.
Let me make a note of that actually, because I'll send you Catherine's email address and details. She's a very busy lady, so she'll probably fob you off to one of her team, as she should do. She'll delegate, because that's what important people do, or smart people. Wicked.
And then the final
what else?
So there's that. So those are just works, and they've been on the back burner for a little while. I did start building them out. So
you've not said about the cards and the t-shirts yet.
Yeah, I was going to come on to Drillbook Academy. I mean, obviously, so I've said it before, but the more successful the app is, the more it costs. So now I'm looking at ways to make it self-sustainable, and that is with the cards, that's with the t-shirts and the hoodies or whatever for now.
Cards are wicked.
Yeah, I like them.
They're bloody wicked, mate.
Yeah. We just put them on.
Have we got them? We haven't got them. You managing the orders through yourself for the t-shirts at the minute. But people can now order the mugs and the cards non-stop whenever they like, can't they?
Because that's all on demand, isn't it? So yeah.
And when you go through the link,
when did you launch that? That was Friday, was it? And since then, there's been several orders come in.
Yeah, when you go through the shop on Drillbook, the cards aren't on there.
I know. This is the over-delivering on the deliverables thing. So I had a whole bunch of these cards, and people who bought the t-shirts, I just thought, do you know what? I'm just going to be nice. I just threw in the extra cards, gave them away, threw in a card, threw in a patch, like a Velcro patch, and the t-shirt and whatnot. So again, over delivering. It wasn't part of the package. I just put it in there just because I'm nice like that. So
We need to
yeah,
have them for sale.
now I ran out of cars, so I need to get more.
You need to get them on the. You need to. I know you've got a much higher bar for good than I have, which is good. It's admirable, but that also acts as a barrier
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I know. I'm
because
too
people
nice for
can't
good.
jump on there and freely order their own pack of cards at the minute, and they need to because they're wicked.
I've only
People
got.
love them.
I've got. I don't know how many I've got left now. Not
You
many.
should have none because they should all be available to order somewhere. They shouldn't have to go through you.
Got about 3 of those and maybe 4 of those, I think.
Got to get loads more. We've got to
Yeah,
get because it's just more of your time.
yeah.
Just more and more of your time sorting out the orders and all this. And I know you say you don't mind doing it, but you've also got children and a family and everything else.
Yeah, it needs to go to that sort of automated route, I suppose, doesn't it?
I know.
It just makes
Sometimes
it
they just
easy.
do a rubbish job is the problem, and then you
That's the
don't want
problem.
someone ended up with a rubbish product that's got your name attached to it.
Over a perfectionist, I think. That was the problem with the t-shirts. I kept getting the requests for t-shirts, and it's all well and good. I looked at like on demand. I looked at
You
like
weren't
a
happy
few
with the
other things.
prints.
Yeah, and I was just
Yeah.
like, do you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. Just ordered the separate
Hello, you did.
components,
So you
bought it
bought a
together,
machine,
bought
you did it all
a
yourself.
heat press, bought like the t-shirts, bought the prints, put it all together, and now you've got an end product. But that does take a lot of time, and then you have to
Yes.
sort of do a pre-sale in a way because you've got to know how many you're ordering, so you're not over ordering on certain sizes and all that jazz. So the on-demand is the way forward, I think.
It is the way forward. And then, we've just launched the next style of stuff. Some of it won't be perfect. I'll feel some of them t-shirts or hoodies a year now and I'll go, not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't let progress be the enemy of perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people are doing it. People are having these things made en masse, ready to order.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are they doing it? Because they're really good. I've got hoodies that I've bought that I've had for years. And I'm pretty sure someone wasn't doing that themselves by hand.
Yeah.
So, it's just scaling up to that and finding wherever the people are getting that done. But the cards, man, we've got to get the cards.
So
Cards and the patches.
Yeah, so there's that. So I'm trying to come up with ways for Drillbook, the app, to be self-sustainable. And that was, the merchandise was one way. The other way is something that we've not sort of communicated yet. I've got a few people on board that are very keen to help out, and it's Drillbook Academy. So a lot of content nowadays is consumed on your mobile phone. It's all short form videos, TikTok, Instagram. It's a minute, it's 2 minutes, it's whatever. It's key, it's condensed, it's into the mobile format. A lot of training out there is all sitting in front of a computer, and it's long, and it's half an hour videos, it's an hour videos, it's whatever.
Yeah.
You
Get
could,
to the point.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
You're like,
You could
come on.
edit that out and condense it down into very small snippets. And it could just be, the idea is, I think I've come up with about 80 different video ideas to start with. And it would be things like how to set up the LPP. And to edit it out, it would just be a bird's eye view of people setting up the LPP, certain key bits, edit it. It's a 1 minute video, job done. It's
Maximum,
the key, it's very, very quick. It's very, oh, how do I go and do this? Right. Within 30 seconds, a minute, right, I know what I'm doing. It's just a refresher in the head.
Yeah.
And there will be longer form content on there as well. But the idea is to do the short form. They can just go on their mobile phone. They don't have to be sat in front of a computer to absorb it.
Mm-hmm. On the computer, scroll into slide 7
Yeah,
to
there
see the
will be
picture of
no
how
presentation.
the thing was laid out. You're like, Jesus Christ, why are we still doing this?
Yeah.
People going and printing off the presentation to bring it out onto the drill ground to show a picture of how the bloody decon's supposed to be set up. That's always a typical one.
Yeah. How do you set up decon? Yeah, and all the kit that you need for it. You can put that on a short video. Like, right, there you go. Bang, 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 bang. That's the bits of kit you need. Right, do this. Job done.
Yeah.
It's very,
and
very
that
quick.
literally is a minute, like you say.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be anything more. But then you can have the longer videos. So you could film, the extrications, RTCs. You could film all of that. You could have a long form video. But then out of that, you could also edit it. So you've got a short form video, so it's very snappy. And you've got step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, done.
Yeah.
They're right. That's it.
Yeah. turn it up to 2 times speed, and you've just got that cut here, cut there, spread off this, bang,
Yeah,
end
don't
result.
do this.
Yeah.
Very, very simple. So I've got about 80 ideas at the minute. I'm going to read all the not videos. I've got
No,
other
you're
bits
not.
and pieces. I will. I've got one of these mat things, haven't I now? So I'm going to put Drillbook all over it. I've got people that are wanting to get involved. The trick, I think the difficulty is trying to do it. I mean, to do it, I'm going to need access to fire service equipment. But I don't want to get the fire service involved.
The constant hurdle we face with the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to go on to, station, start doing bits and pieces, because then you get the whole, oh, what are you doing? What's that?
Yeah.
Why are you taking pictures of that? Why are you filming this? Oh, what's that for?
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's a conflict of interest. So the difficulty is doing it away from the service. So what I'm going to do is I've started building out a list of contacts and potential sponsors that could get involved, that could lend equipment to us. I've already got a facility in which we can go and film all of this stuff. We can get the cars delivered to it. Yeah.
Nice.
So we've got a facility that we can use. I just need to reach out to these companies and say, look, this is the idea. Do you want to get involved? If you get involved, then we'll put your logos here. We'll get your kit on it. We're doing IF-coat for your equipment.
Yeah.
And that's what I was coming back to, earlier. I was saying one of the biggest requests is people want pre-recorded or pre-built IF-coats. I was going to put an IF-coat library on it that people could just literally quickly look at and say, well, after a minute of watching this video, I know the full IF-coat of a spreader or some sort of cutter or a foam branch or, whatever it is, the radiation equipment.
I think, getting a day or two on working with Angloco, working with Rosenbauer, go and spend a day with MSA, and film a bunch of stuff with their sets, go and spend a day with whoever, AWG,
exactly.
working with their branches, spend a day with Veta or Godiva, Godiva are a partner of the podcast.
Yeah. Because that's probably one of the most common LPPs is the 8.5, isn't it?
Yeah. Godiva have got most of the market, when it comes to that. We did an episode, a very, very short episode. Hopefully we got it out. I can't remember if we bleeped it out now. What I'm worrying. We recorded with SpanSafe. I don't remember. The people that make 98% of the UK Fire and Rescue Services ladders. They had a ladder at Women in the Fire Service, and I got chatting with them. Because did I tell you about it when they put in the new pulley system
on the ladder?
Yeah. Have I not told you about this? Right. So, when you extend a 13.5, one of the pre-entry selection tests, can you extend the ladder? Can you lift it? Yeah.
Have you got the strength to pull it?
Yeah. Because what is that ladder mechanism with that rope, with that line on it?
Sorry, what?
What's the lifting ratio?
Don't know. I couldn't tell you.
1-to-1.
So they changed it to something like a 3-to-1, are they?
Changed it to a 3-to-1.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's all they've done. Not all they've done. It was a great idea.
Yeah.
So they've added in a mechanism that you put a plate, you can retrofit it to other ladders. They put a plate on and re-roved it again. So it's now a 3-to-1, and it is so unbelievably easy to extend that 13.5. And obviously they were doing it at Women in the Fire Service, which is a great idea, because it's one of the things that a lot of female firefighters struggle with when they come into the job. Can they extend the ladder?
It's not only just the pull, it's the grip, isn't it? It's the grip on as you're having to pull.
And it was great. It was so good and so easy, and it was such a obvious idea.
Yeah,
you're just like, oh my god, what a great shout! And it's only costs like another 40 quid for them to fit it onto another ladder. Anyway, so we recorded an episode with them in person when we were there. God, I hope it went out. I've got a horrible feeling now it didn't go out. If it didn't go out, I'm gonna make a note now to try and find the recording, because we record so much stuff, and we're gonna put it out. Make a note now because I'll forget. If I've forgotten, he's probably just thought I'm a useless waste of time because I never got back to him saying I'd done it. Going and spending a day with them, filming on their ladders.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I don't know where that.
Just stuff like that
in the UK.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean,
we could travel there. We could take the camera kit and we could just film these videos, come back, edit them, and put them on the academy.
Academy's going to be a big piece of work. A lot of filming involved in that.
Piece of work. It's not a quick and easy thing, but not by any. Yeah, it's going to be an absolute mammoth effort to get that done. But
pig.
I think once it's done, it will live there forever, which is part of like, the legacy, isn't it?
Everything that we're doing, mate, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
exactly.
all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, and it constantly adds to itself. Like Drillbook, people putting in new drills all the time, new members signing up. Same with the podcast, old episodes, getting thousands of listens from years and years ago. Legacy resource.
Yeah, exactly.
They say communities will get better when men plant trees under which they will never sit. That's the quote, innit? You've got to leave it better than you found it.
Exactly.
People say
We're
that.
just custodians of this thing.
We're just custodians. It was here long before us. It will be here long after. We're just holding on to it for a little bit of time, trying to look after it and trying to leave it better than we found it. And honestly, I know we've all been to incidents and we've all rescued somebody, yeah. But when I see the retirement posts on LinkedIn and someone goes, I'm just retiring after 30 years in the fire service, really proud of all the difference I've made. I don't know some of these people personally, but I'm like, did you? Did you make a difference? You made a difference to someone.
Yeah.
Depends on the size of the difference that you want to make.
What's the measurable?
What are you going to be measured by? What are you going to be remembered for? And when what did you do? And will it stand the test of time? Will it hold? Probably not. I changed stuff in training school 2 years ago, which has changed since then. Someone's just come in and changed it. That's fine. They've got a new logic. They've learned something new.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's ever evolving, isn't it?
It's ever evolving. But stuff like this,
the basic stuff will always remain. I think. How to pitch the ladder, how to set the LPP, how to
100%.
How to
That's
do
why
this
I was
extrication method. It's all
so excited about it, and still so excited about Drillbook and the work of it. And I think it's got such incredible legs. And I gotta say, as I was astonished we had not done an episode before when we spoke about it a few weeks ago. I was like, Jesus Christ, how long have we been talking to each other? We've never even done an episode about it. But now is as good as the best time to plant a shoe is 5 years ago. Second best time is now. But now it's a great time for people to go and check it out because it's got great functionality. There's so many more tools in it than there ever has been. There is a genuine, bulk of information and knowledge, and there's loads of incident debriefs in there as well. And if people often ask about the incident debriefs because they're some of the most listened to episodes.
I think
they're all in there, and all the documents are in there, and people can access them and they can download them and all that sort of stuff. Legacy resource. We've been talking for over 2 hours, which is easy for us. We could go for another 3, but people won't know it's a Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
I know we want to spend time with our families as well. Is there anything you want us to circle back to? We're going to put the links to Drillbook, unless people aren't familiar. It's in every single episode anyway.
Yeah.
There's a read for Drillbook in every single episode as well. But the links will be under this episode notes, as they are with any single episode. So go and check it out. It's free. Don't have to pay anything for it. Don't charge any money. There's no secret backdoor. We don't give you spam emails. There's no clever, silly trickiness that's going on.
Not even any push notifications on it either. So it's not going to pop up on your phone saying you've not logged in for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Like, why haven't you done the quiz today? Yeah. There's nothing like that. It's there for them to use how they see fit.
I always say give and forget, receive and remember. So this is something we give, and if you don't use it, fair enough. Some people use it every single day. The quizzes.
There is a phenomenal amount of people that use it. Like
it's crazy,
really
isn't it?
Surprising. Like I think we're about 3 and a bit thousand users now.
Isn't that crazy?
Every day, I think I looked earlier just before this. I think it's about 350 people a day using it.
It's wicked, isn't it?
It's huge.
And I think for this period as well, like we said about the retirement profile, it's only going to get more and more because there's so many people joining the fire and rescue service that want all this information. They want to get ahead of it. They want to learn stuff before they get into training school. And they use it when they go home at night. So they haven't got to worry about taking pictures of the presentation that was on the screen. They can just go into here and get that information, and they can do it again and again and again and again and again at their own time. And they can build on their future knowledge by getting into the quizzes and all of that sort of stuff. For the curious, passionate people, and there's still many of them out there, this is exactly why it was built.
Yeah.
By saddos like us, predominantly by you.
Yeah.
You're the one doing all the hard work.
I'm
just the one that gets impressed when you send me the updates or we have a call about it. But brother, absolutely love that. I love you eternally. I'm glad your family are all well. I know the little lady was poorly a long time ago and she's very well now, which is fantastic. And that reminds us all how some of this stuff is completely irrelevant. We try and make a difference with the time that we've got, but for everyone's awareness, we don't do this at the expense of time with our families, you know, and that's super important.
It is.
Like when people say to me or to you, you know, oh, have you managed to change a thing yet? No, I've not done it. I haven't done it. Okay. I've done a lot.
Yeah. But
I've
sometimes
not
there's
done
just
that
more
bit.
important things, and like today, it's a Sunday. I'm going to go chill with the family in a minute and just spend the
Hell
day with them.
freaking yes.
Sometimes things like stuff like that is just a bit more important, isn't it?
It is, mate. You know, and
Non-negotiables.
you know what? If you or I died today, all the episodes would last. The drill book would still be there forever. You know, it's just sit there
Yeah,
forever.
exactly.
But you know, that's the constant desire that it's never finished. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna do a bit more. Just gonna do a bit more. Just do a bit more. So yeah, passion project. People can go check it out. Get involved in it. Go and contribute to it. It is
Yes.
built by firefighters for
Yeah.
firefighters. You can contribute all of your own ideas. You can be part of shaping it. Adam's email address is on there. My email address is on there. Feel free to copy me in, but chances are it won't get done if you ask me to do it. So if it's important, put
I'm
Adam's name
massively
first.
open to feedback. If people want to see something in it that isn't in it, let me know. If there's something in it that you don't like in it, let me know. If there's drills that you want to contribute to it, just do it. Get it in there. Like it comes through an approval process. I'll have a look at it and just maybe sort of not review
Don't edit
in
it,
a
but
loose.
sometimes we tweak the wording to make it
To
more
make it
accessible to
more
all of the UK Fire and Rescue
exactly.
Service
Sort of
rather
standardise it a
than
little bit. Yeah.
service-isms.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, I'm not trying to make it too generic, but we can't put things in there that are just going to confuse people and switch them
Yeah.
off if it doesn't make any
Exactly.
sense. Should make sense to a brand new firefighter. Beautiful. Thanks so much for that, brother. I love you lots. Send my love to the family, and we've got some big stuff happening in the new year, so I'm excited for us to keep going and keep growing.
It'd be good, wouldn't it?
Love you
Nice
lots.
one.
See you soon.
Nice one. Cheers, Pete.